Hi, Tubes. Your dirty, scrungly little goblin here. I got up really early today because I was really nervous and anxious, and I couldn't fall back asleep. They're taking me to the hospital to steal my blood today. I guess they're just making sure that my other organs aren't like leaking fluids that they shouldn't be. I'm not really sure. I just know that the doctor lady wants my blood, and I don't want to give it. I'm so nervous. I don't know. I think I mentioned it before. I had like a whole meltdown yesterday over it, and I just don't fucking. I don't know. I don't do needles. I don't know what it is. Makes me throw up and faint and all that. Not ready. I'm really not. But you know, it's noon now, and well, it's noon now when I'm recording this. I woke up, couldn't sleep. Well, I could hardly sleep last night anyways. I didn't even change out of my clothes. I'm a stinky goblin today, but it's fine. I'll take a shower when I get back from the hospital. Or at the very least tomorrow when I wake up if I do not, because I don't know if they're going to need to like bandage my arm up or not for the blood. Well, they're going to need to. They're also doing an EKG, which is they're going to stick slimy suction cups with coom. I don't know if it's coom, but it's slime, to my chest, and then it's going to measure my heart rate. Because like I also mentioned, I'm having something weird with my heart rate where like when I'm sitting up unaided for like extended periods of time, or like when I'm up and moving and all that, my heart's kind of starting to race, and then I feel really dizzy, and it's like, okay, floor time. And I gotta lay down or some shit. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the concussion, because I read about like parasympathetic shit, and just like having your heart rate knocked out of alignment by getting concussed is a thing that happens. I actually read, this is also fucked up, like 11% of all people who have a concussion end up getting POTS, which is a thing that is, it's basically a medical condition that's very similar to the stuff I've been describing. So I have some anxiety that I might have that, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried if it'd be something else, but I don't think it's going to be something else. But I'm not a doctor, and that's why they draw my blood. I've had my blood drawn twice. I don't know why I started doing it with this hand and then changed to this hand. Whatever. I had my blood drawn twice. The second time went really bad. I used to have I was talking about this in the chudcord a little bit, a little bit. And I was gonna say, by the way, join the chudcord. We want more chuds. Fuck, man. I mentioned in the chudcord how I had Christian fundamentalist doctors growing up, and they were really shitty. Just very rude, very entitled, very expensive, very bad at their work. Here's an awkward story. When I was, I think probably 13, 12, 13, at most 14, I had kind of fallen out of the whole ideas of religion. I was all like traumatized from like having a really fucked up childhood and hating everything and always praying for things to change, and then things would just continue to get worse as I prayed harder. So I kind of broke my belief in my faith in God, especially because like I don't know, just a lot of the people also in like the religious system, they didn't like answering questions, and I was very I asked a lot of questions. I wanted to know things. I wanted to figure it out, you know. But religious people don't like that. There was a summer camp I went to, like a Christian summer camp when I was younger, with like my church, and it was I had fallen out of believing, but I hadn't told my parents yet. And they're very strongly religious. You know, the Midwest is kind of like Poland. You can't go anywhere without finding a bar or a church. Now that I think about it, the only things in my area, 2 or 3 churches and a convenience store that sells alcohol. So, there's a laundromat too. But yeah, those are the only things within 10 minutes. If I wanted to get more than that, I'd have to drive at least 15, 20 minutes out to the next town. But yeah, hyper religious, you know, upbringing. You know, I went to church camp, and there was actually a guy there who was one of the counselors. He was a smart guy, and he tried very hard to like answer all my questions in a satisfying way that made sense, and I appreciated him. But I could tell there were some topics that would just kind of stump him, and he'd get a little stuck. But he, unlike, and I can give it to this gentleman, unlike all of the church peoples I grew up with, actually, I had this one church that was really good about also trying to answer questions, and they were also very friendly and very inviting. Um, I mean, one of the pastors ended up being a pedo who was touching the kids, but, you know, happens. Uh, and in retrospect, I didn't get diddled by that guy, but he was pretty handsy now that I recall it. God, that's fucked up. Um, but the rest of that church was really darn good. But a lot of the churches I went to and a lot of like my religious upbringing, asking questions like that and asking questions too in depth was very frowned upon. It was how do I put this? It wasn't seen as a curious child like some of the nicer people would take that, like Mr. Counselor in the good church. It was seen as objection of authority, and I wasn't objecting authority at all because I didn't place it as a thing of authority. But that started making me realize, oh, it is about authority. It is about control. If you start asking questions, you start poking holes, and they don't want that. They need it safe and sound. They need their moral code on lockdown. Uh, and I didn't subscribe to that moral code. I thought there were things that were weird about it, and the different interpretations also frustrated me. Like, good church, they were like love everybody, all that. Never brought up politics. Never. Very good, I think. Very good. Other churches I went to, just about like homosexuality being bad and some political shit about how uh, in essence, it's basically about how Republicans are backed by God, and that if I'm not vocally supportive of the same politics as the church, then I am against the church, which is a little weird. But like I said, I was really young, so I didn't think super heavily into it at the time. It kind of it began my path down like the more critical thinking, or not critical thinking, I guess, but just like questioning it and seeing it as like maybe it's like an authority thing. Um, yeah. Sorry, all of this is to say, I'm not a fan of religion. I do not appreciate extreme Christianity. I am totally grateful to like all the chill people who are religious, and I'm very I'm very stoked and like super excited for people who are all about Jesus and who like God helps them get by. That's super great. Believe so hard, man. I love that for you. I can't do it. Um, and if you force it upon me, uh, I, I'm gonna pee on the Bible. Like, I wouldn't normally disrespect your holy book. Like, I can see the reverence behind it. It's the same as any other, like the Tanakh slash the Torah or the Quran. And I wouldn't normally disrespect those items. But when I profess that my belief is to not attempt to be converted because I previously believed and I no longer subscribe to that belief, that is you attacking my belief. And they can't seem to comprehend that. And so I guess my escalation to that would be to physically attack their belief. This is your holy book. I'm urinating on it. Uh, I don't know, man. I got this problem with the Bible, right? Because like the first half is some fucked up shit, and then the second half, the J-Man shows up and he's like, "Hey, pretty much listen to none of the morals or stories of the first half, because a lot of it is based on antiquated desert people who kill each other and marry children." Uh, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. This is getting way too roundabout. I keep trying to get back to the Christian fundamentalist doctors and how much they suck. Um, they were the ones who did my blood draw. Wait. Okay, sorry. I had Christian fundamentalist doctors, right? And they did suck. Unlike that one cool church and that one cool camp counselor, my doctors sucked so bad. I cut contact with them when I was old enough to start advocating for myself and getting my own medical care. I talked previously in one of these about how one of my brothers had a very obvious burner that was kind of showing up at a later stage. Not showing up at a later stage, but was still detectable at a later stage. I forget how old he was. But my doctor didn't even notice. Like, she's like, "Oh, he has a burner. Oh, wow." So when they did my blood draw, I had recently, at around 16-ish, I had developed like a severe fear of needles. I don't know what it was. I went to get one of my shots one day, and then I just fainted, and I was like, hey, I don't know what to do. Like, all right, let's try again. They fainted again. They're like, okay, just lay down. So I went to get my blood drawn, and I was like, hey, can I lay down for this? They're like, no, you have to stay sitting up. And I was like, oh, I have a really strong fainting reaction. I'm kind of worried about that. And they're like, well, that's too bad. Just deal with it. All right. So I fainted after they were done in the chair. Luckily not during, because I'm so scared to like fucking the needle up. Like, ugh. Oh my god. Sorry. Double roundabout, because I got onto a different topic about the Christian fundamentalist doctors. My original point when I was like 12, 13, or 14, and I had fallen out of the faith. I had gotten, I came back from the summer camp, and it didn't reignite my belief in Jesus at all. I just had fun, which is good. Um, and I'm like, damn, what do I what do I do? Like this doesn't really change anything. So I didn't tell my mother because she's very psychotic. And if she found out, things would go bad. Well, I had been developing depression, and I was talking to the doctor, and I wasn't doing great, and they basically told me to just deal with it when it came to being depressed. Um, and my I w- and As for my anxiety, she was like, "Oh, you can start feeding him Benadryl to deal with that." And then so I started taking a shit ton of Benadryl all the time because I was told to by my doctor, which that wasn't good because that gave me that normalized like abusing substances to deal with my emotions, while also at the same time giving me a very high tolerance for sedatives. 'Cause if you didn't know this, Benadryl will knock you the fuck out. Though, so 12, 13, 14, however old I was there with my mother, and I was talking about my stuff, and she's got this paper, right, and you're signing off like your different medical stuff, and mom's like, hey, make sure you lie and say that you eat better than you do, and so because she always had me lie about my nutrition, my exercise, and my amount of like screen time. She always had me lie about all my medical details. And at the very end, there's a check mark that was like, do you want me to pray for you? And I was like, oh, that's silly. So I left it blank, right? And she's like, my mom was like, why'd you leave that blank? I was like, I don't know. It's like, I don't really need her to. She's like, why? Do you not want her to? Do you not want her to pray for you? I was like, I mean, she can if she wants. I don't act, I'm not seeking it. She's like, why not? It's like, 'cause I don't really think it'll do anything. She's like, Kaden. And she starts like chewing me out. She starts chewing me out hard. And the doctor comes back, and she's like puts on her face, all that, like she's a normal person, and they talk, and we leave, and we get to the car, and she escalates. She's not just chewing me out; she's like yelling at me. Um, and the yelling, I'm very quiet. I'm just I don't believe anymore. Like there's a lot of cruelty in this world. It's very random. If there's a guiding hand, it's gonna make if I do believe there's a god, it would make me super schizo knowing that there's an evil like deity out there who's making sure that there's like rich pedophiles in charge and having children die every year. Like if you're saying that there's someone 100% in charge of the world, that person is absolutely evil. I would not believe any other way. And that directly contradicts the Judo-Christianic, God I was raised with. God is super holy and good and pure. Um, and I start crying because she's yelling at me, and then she's like, and then she has to make it about herself, right? Because she's the victim. So then she starts crying, and she starts screaming about how she failed as a parent, and just disappointments with life, and how she fucked up beyond repair. And it's like I'm sitting there crying, I'm getting screamed at and chewed out because I stopped believing in fucking Jesus because praying didn't let me see my grandparents again. Um, it was just very cruel. And if you believe it, being berated didn't make me Christian again. It actually was the final nail that drove me totally out of the belief. Tried doing my hair a little bit because I'm a narcissist and I'm supposed to go to the hospital. And like I said, I don't know how soon Danny's getting here, so I just brush my hair because it's a lot faster than showering. Also, I struggle with showering. Uh, Not like, how to put this? I just don't like being wet. It's the getting out of the shower I struggle with, because it's like, ooh, shower sounds nice, because then I get to be all drenched in hot water, and then I have to get out of the shower and it's cold and shivery and shaky and the worst. It's not the worst. Christian fundamentalists are the worst. Um, think that's all I've got to ramble about, honestly. Just super anxious about my needles. I guess I rambled a little bit about religious trauma. Join the Discord. I'll put it in the description. The chudcord. Welcome all chuds. Whew. Sorry, I'm getting anxious again. Gotta get ready for needle time because Danny will probably get here in less than an hour, and then we gotta go, and then I do some waiting, and it's needle time. I'm so fucking nervous. The worst. All right. I think I've said my piece. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. So I hope everyone is having a much better day than me, or at least a much better week. Just much better anything, really. Have a good day, please. Also, remember that I appreciate you, and that people love you, and that you can get other people to love you pretty darn easily. Just, you gotta make friends. And if you're struggling to make friends, come join the chudcord. Because I also struggle to make friends, and that's where I keep begging for attention. I tell myself that being self-aware doesn't make it better, right? It just makes it a little more cringe. That's what I thought. Yeah. Anyways, I appreciate all of you, and thank you. I will see you guys in the chudcord later, and we can call and talk and hang out, and it'll be super cool. And hopefully I won't be spazzing and shaking and crying about having my blood drawn again. Jesus Christ, I'm such a fucking pussy. It's just needles. I can't do them anymore. I can't. Dude, before I was 16, actually, one last story. Before I was 16 and I started fainting at needles, I watched Breaking Bad all the way through, and I could watch the scene where they shoot up heroin. But then after 16, I can't watch that scene anymore. I rewatched it with Danny a couple years ago, and I had to look away because it was going to make me faint, which is crazy. Talking about needles is also freaking me out. I've not even seen it yet. Yeah. Love you guys, and I hope you have good days.